Welcome to
Unfiltered Growth,
Real Talk on Trends and Strategies,
the podcast where the gloves come off
and the insights come pouring in. This is your go-to arena for unwrapping the boldest strategies
and diving deep into the realms of entrepreneurship, marketing, and culture shifts with a sharp, unfiltered lens. Each episode, we will bring you face-to-face with thought leaders, innovators, and disruptors from diverse industries and sectors.
We strip away the BS and dive into real challenges and opportunities for revenue growth. We cover the full spectrum of insights that matter to you.
Unfiltered Growth is more than just a podcast.
It's a community of bold thinkers and doers who aren't afraid to challenge the status quo.
Whether you are an event organizer looking to captivate your audience,
a marketer aiming to navigate the complexities of digital trends,
or an entrepreneur striving for exponential growth,
this podcast is your weekly dose of reality-checked wisdom.
Join us as we explore the intersection of culture, business, and innovation.
Expect raw conversations, real success,
and failure stories,
and practical advice that you can apply to your journey.
No filters,
just growth.
Our first call. I had just got laid off. 2 days later, I'm in a whole other state I've never been in. I'm in the middle of nowhere. And this girl said, she really literally sent me an email with the name of our business on it as the other one ended. Like, it was poetic justice. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, yeah, we got a meeting. Like, now. It wasn't like we had time to prep, really. But you know what? That same eye contact, synergy, spark thing we had on stage came up multiple times again in that conversation. And I was like, well, shoot. I'm straight. We good. We're going to get this paper. I already knew. It was a sign. Why did we choose to go in business? And more specifically, if you're starting up and you're trying to do things, how do you identify a good co-founder? Well, thankfully, I've had 4 years of watching you and learning you. And I think when you can find someone who can complement or fill in the gaps of what you may lack, that's already a good combination for a good experience. You have two of the same people with the same problems, you're going to row in the same direction and not get anywhere. But the other thing is you have to have enough complementary and cognitive things to say, okay, we think in tandem. And so I think we both identify in many ways there's some neurodivergency. We have very high extroverted energy. But at the same time, words matter to us. Who we surround ourselves with, what we hear, we chase after achievements, we want certain things. And I think it's not just finding people who can literally do the work with you. Does the energy align with the goals align the same way? And I will tell you this, you can learn a lot about a person if you just happen to be a co-host with them on stage for a week. I tell you, and we may go deeper.
We gonna drop some tea or not?
We may go deeper in this episode or future episode segments, but the one thing that screams out to me throughout all the adversity, it was like, this is my person who's going to help me navigate this. We got this together, and we're going to be unwavering, and no matter what happens, we're going to put on the best show we can possibly can. And the moment that screams to me is when I think it was the third of the fourth time we went to the stage, and we had to make some last minute changes. You know, normally after day 2, you're kind of like, you get this rhythm. But for those who don't understand, when you're on stage and you get in the habit of reading certain things, you don't think to like tweak at all sometimes. And it's just kind of like, whatever. So there was a moment where something wasn't right. And for us, the pause felt like an eternity. Yeah. And we made this eye contact moment. And it's like, I just knew. And we were just like, okay, we're going to keep this going. And I asked everyone after the fact, and they're like, it looked great. You dolls did great. It was awesome. And I find that's very rare. I ask a lot of people about that, and I find it's very rare you can make eye contact with someone and it's the energy, the emotion, the very clear thought is being transferred. That doesn't happen as often as people think, and you really have to have a strong connection to have that. And when I had that, I was like, okay, there's something here because we ad-lib some of that very
Yeah.
smoothly. My point in saying all this, you want someone you can trust, someone who you have mutual respect for, mutual adoration for, but someone who can be a problem solver with you and that hey, giving us, we're like, I don't want to say Batman per se, because there's a Batwoman too, but just the concept of give us enough time
Saying
and
it's
some solution
Catwoman.
will be found.
Is Catwoman with Bat? I'm not.
There's the
My
Batman,
head.
there's Batwoman that's come up recently, and
Okay.
originally it was Catwoman. So
So I
yeah.
thought, there we
Hmm.
go. I got claws. Joking, I don't. I mean, maybe. But and the thing with that is I had that week was just a lot of new experiences in the sense of or new environments with same experiences. And I think to you, what you were talking about, we both were, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when you were like growing up, did you like do musical theater or like
Yeah.
theater stuff?
Yeah.
And so did I. And that's way different than hosting or emceeing because when you're doing that, that's a script and you memorize it and you have practices and you have tech week and you have all of that stuff and you're supposed to be a certain way and you have this character to play. But when you're emceeing and hosting, the only character you're playing is yourself and you have to show up that way. And also know the brand that you're highlighting or doing the things for and kind of having that in the back of your head too in that audience. And so instead of the character of Adelaide, I think her name is from Guys and Dolls, and you know like what that's supposed to be. But when you're hosting, you don't. And so having that and then that connection and having like the I know exactly I literally am thinking of the moment right now of when we looked at each other. I was sweating so bad and I was like, oh my God, we're gonna get kicked off the stage right now. And it was but it really obviously wasn't that bad. But it 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 really solidified with me the trust I had with you. And when we're talking about like why we went into business together, and this doesn't mean that it's just somebody that okay, you found that connection, maybe they're at work and you're like, oh, let's start a business. It doesn't mean you have to do that. It also could be a collaboration that you're doing at work and you can bring forth a strategy or bring forth a new process with that person that you're like, hey, like shit, this could work really well. Let's present it because two are better than one in most cases, especially when you're doing like cross department types of things. Like I've done it at several companies where I've connected a lot with a sales lead or a CS lead, and we brought forth an idea that we really truly felt that was needed for the business. And it was way more successful. And it also got a yes quicker. And when you do that, it's going to make you feel good. And then you're going to feel that trust with others. And you're going to find those triggers and you're going to find those moments of hell yes and hell no inside when you practice it because you're never going to get a yes if you don't ask and you're never going to obviously get a no, but let's not think about it that way. Let's think about it in the sense of just putting yourself out there, whether that be with a new business and like buying 5,000 domains a year like Troy and I with all these ideas sometimes at 4 a.m. or it could be a idea you have with your head of CS and you're the head of marketing and you realize that your customers aren't getting as much attention or much love as new customers. So figuring out what you can do, whether that be a custom build in your CRM or whether that be adding a tech that sends them a anniversary gift. They can choose what they want, not always a branded mug because one of my cabinets in my house is all branded swag. When I open it up, I'm like, I literally could have my own trade show right here and have different booths. It would be great. you know? But you really find that connection with someone, or it could even be like volunteering. Just really be open to that connection and don't be and obviously we both have past traumas in this of connecting with the wrong people at work and getting like burned. And that's not ideal, obviously, but you have to find that true connection to have anything happen because nothing, I say nothing, will be as successful with just you grinding and doing it because burnout's a thing. I have struggles with giving things away to like let them do, like ask Troy, especially when it comes to a certain technology I use all the time. I'm like, I think I should do it, but I'm like, some people also need to do it too. Letting go, but also letting go of the stigmas you have in your mind over connecting with people and partnering because you want all that credit. Like you're going to get credit regardless if it's one or two people doing it. And with two, you could, if you think about it in the sense of reach, two people say you want to talk about on LinkedIn, that's a bigger audience and you'll get more recognition if that's what you're looking for, if you just want to do it yourself. And it's a hard lesson to learn, but it's also a lesson in trusting and getting up on that stage and mad libbing or ad libbing, whatever the word is. Mad lib's a game, not a thing. Ad libbing is what
I'm
it
here
could
for
be
it.
for you. Yeah.
We have to do a tally of like our most common words we say, and then every time we say it, that's like a counter, and that's when they have to like buy something.
Uh, awesome.
If you know, you know. If you don't know, you will know. That is part of the show, yo. Oh my God. See, I have a problem. Yeah, we're gonna unveil probably a lot of moments from Inbound soon. So if you're enjoying and want tea and inside scoops of our conference adventures, please subscribe and stay tuned.
So many things.
So many things. One thing I really want to talk about, which I'm excited for, if we're going back to why we started the business, the name of our business
You're
from
gonna put me
our
on the spot, are you? Because
amazing CEO, season 3. What in the world did that come? Where did that come from? And why is it important to you?
goodness gracious. So I have always been in the entertainment space in some capacity of even
Right.
I say entertainment when I was 3 years old at my ballet recital. We're gonna say that's entertainment business,
Just
okay?
dropping it.
But singing, I mean, dancing to Winnie the Pooh. But I, you laughing. I've been in the world of sports, entertainment my whole life, really. My parents being musicians, my mom's a director of music therapy, my dad's a music teacher, professional jazz musician. My brother playing hockey, I playing soccer, hockey, all of the above. And I'm a big sports person. I'm from Cleveland, so go Browns. And I was doing research on different stats. And so I was coming across this consistent like language of a person's third season. And when you think about it in the entertainment of TV shows, when a TV show gets past their third season, that usually means like is doing successful, like going to be successful and probably move on to at least like 5 or 6 more seasons. When you're thinking of the sports side of it, it is the season that the athlete is in their groove, and it is the season of finding their true talent in the professional world. Because when they're in college, it's different because their season 3 college is like their junior year. It's a different mindset of what it could be. Their third season is at Ohio State, say, because I'm also a Buckeye fan. Um, and I am truly aligned with this season 3. And it's so weird because I hated the number 3 as like just a 3 was just like I just didn't like the number 3 for God knows what reason. But season 3 is that next that next step in that breakout part of your career. And when it comes to businesses, it's taking that work and lessons that you've learned in those different years to then your season 3 in that mindset of really pulling through your talent, bringing on the revenue goals that you have always wanted to obtain, but also adding in things that you might be scared to because you have that talent, you have those things going, those like mindless things that you're known for, good at, whatever it would be. But that owning your own season 3 is in the sense of owning your authentic self or authentic voice with your brand to really showcase who you are, who your people are, in a way to grow your revenue, retain and grow your customers with like upsells, and just being that true self that you want to be. Because everybody talks about the brand voice and talk this way, but what is that really if you don't have that background of what it was to really own the season you're in, but and carry you through each of the seasons in your business to have that catapulting holy shit moment when you win the Super Bowl of your industry, essentially.
I'm just air snap. It was beautiful. That was beautiful.
But if you want to read it on our website, it's like the business version. Troy mentioned with the ADHD, we tend to talk a lot and go off on
Which
a
is
lot of
perfect for a
things.
podcast.
Yeah. Side note, I have calls with Troy and it's like 25 minutes and it's 20 minutes of Christina just saying this and this. And it's like 7 different avenues. And then I bring it all together and he was like, I followed everything. I don't know how you tied that all together, but you did. So that's that. We should just go live on our phone calls. That would be
We
fun.
should. Just a segment of just we're calling in to ourselves. No, I agree. And I think the other thing when you explained to me season 3, I think we both alluded to there's been a massive catalyst, if you will, joining us together. It's kind of like some massive villains are taking over the world, and these random people are forced to join forces to fight evil. It's kind of the same plot story in a really weird way we'll talk about later. But I think, God, I can't do this. I think I've always been seeking that next level of transformation in also finding balance. I've always traded time for money. I've always built other people's dreams and might have gotten cut out the deal or whatever the case might be. If you've been around long enough, you will get burned in these industries. You will be let go, you will be laid off, and over time, you'll discover this is something you really want to do. You'll find that resiliency, even at times when you can't even explain why you're getting back on the bike, just stay down to continue. And for the longest, I, I disassociated having fun with work. Work was a stress-induced, high anxiety thing where I have to get this goal of money. And that was
Yes.
it. And then when you have a break, all you're doing is thinking about it. And you're wondering the politics and how am I going to do this? And it just makes you feel very, very small and constrained. And when the bubble blew up and you're just left with your own devices and you don't know what you're going to do next, I found I'm having fun with this person. Like I'm genuinely having fun. I'm pretty sure I haven't laughed that hard in a very long time. Oh, and we're getting paid to do this as well. Just a bonus. I'm like, well, is it possible to have fun and make money? Like,
Imagine
you have
that.
all these coaches, right? You have all these coaches who get on these things. No shade to real coaches. We respect y'all, but there's bad eggs in every industry who just basically create this path for you, and most people never break through. Not to mention women specifically, women of color, underrepresented communities, minorities, those who don't have the access, who don't have the understanding, who aren't in the cliques, who don't have the startup cash to get going. who have to work two jobs, who came from nothing, from blue collar families, things like that. They give you these things and they take your money and they can't do anything with it. And so how we joined was just not only in personally, I want to have fun. I want to do what I love. I want to have someone keeping me accountable and saying I can. But then also our impact of like, you know, I bet you if we force brands and propose brands a better way to do marketing, to be more inclusive and have more equality and equitable and inclusion and diversity, and awareness and accessibility and all of those things, it would not only help them generate money still, but it'd be in such a better light. It would feel better. More people come to the table. And one thing I will give you all the credit in the world for, but I feel comfortable to share this. There's another dynamic here where we are much the same, but very uniquely different. And I always find my walk of path as a Black man in business versus your path as a woman in business creates mutually similar struggles, but different dynamics. And to see you persevere through those and still pull off one of the best things I've ever seen in a week just showed me how strong you were and how like it's almost like I can't let this person down because this person is giving it all they got. I cannot. I have to make sure they shine and are successful. And if
You make
you
me
as
cry.
a co-founder, I need tissues. If you as a
Yeah, like shit.
co-founder or a partner or a business group don't feel not just I'm in it for me, like you want them to win. And so us not just learning, and this took years, us just learning us. You know, we know our enneagrams are. We use that daily. Like we know what type of songs we like. We have our own playlist channel of like hype songs from different
Go check
cultures.
it out.
We'll just drop that
Link in
for
bio.
listening. Link in bio for all of our things. Maybe we should drop a merchandise line. Oops, I wasn't supposed to say that yet. Anyway, my point in being, when you build the camaraderie, relationships matter. And when you can build that relationship on honesty and principles and trust, it you carry that over into business.
It's so crazy because, and this happened recently, I want to say like last week now, that with working with you, or just one of the reasons why I was like, okay, like let's do the staying thing. And I was quote unquote like feeling comfortable with jumping in. Well, having you jump in or jumping off, whatever you want to say it. But when so a little like business insider of just starting a business or whatever you want to say to this part, but I did not fill out our S corp form correctly, and I like got a call from the IRS about it, and I was like, shit. And I was old me if it was say I was supposed to do it for a corporation that I was the VP of marketing or whatever for, I would be so scared to tell the person that I did like effed up, but not like effed up, but I didn't do it right and I need help. I felt 1000% comfortable with telling Troy that. Because one, I know Troy's amazing at growing businesses, building businesses, starting all businesses, stuff like that. And two, though, felt fine that he wasn't going to judge me and be like, oh, this dumb broad did it wrong. And I would just be like crying and so upset. It would probably have been days of me being upset over just saying I did wrong, but I did it right away. And it says a lot about who we are as people now and where like we've grown, but also who we are as business owners. And then also how we are with customers in that very truthful state of being, because if you mess up or if you do something and you don't say anything right away, it's just like a kid drawing on their wall with crayons, or maybe something that's more permanent than that. If you get to it sooner, it'll be easier to clean. And just being very receptive to feedback, but also being okay to say, yo, Troy, I need your expertise. And I wasn't scared to say that, which says so much about who Troy is. And I just feel very fortunate to be able to work with someone finally like you, that I don't feel judged or feel belittled for making a mistake or not doing something correctly, that it wasn't fully in my lane and I tried to do it and didn't happen. And it says a lot, I feel, about who we are as people, but who we are together, because we do want the best for each other. And it's not anything in the sense of I got this deal and you got this deal and who's whatever. It's we, and yo, I effed up. I need your help. Can you do this? And it's mutually that way for all of us. And we have someone else that's like helping us right now too. And she's that same way. And it's so refreshing because I mean, just last year in general was rough for me in that department of speaking, speaking in general, not on stage, but voicing things on the job. So I feel very refreshed. And when that gets in the way, it really limits your growth and it also limits the company's growth. So now that it's like, move, bitch, get out the way, it's gonna just make it even better for S3M. So
I have
goes
to
to
call it
say thank
strategy and
you.
therapy. Emotional over here.
Yeah, it just thank you. So and also if you mess up, say something. It's
Yeah.
also, to be honest, if you're listening to this, you probably do marketing. You ain't doing brain
What
surgery.
happened?
Okay, I don't know. It was like it was very mood.
Someone paid the light bill.
That's fine. We
I'm
don't have
keep,
lights.
keeping I'm keeping that in and just like, someone need to pay the light bill on this show.
I'm dead. But yeah, just I don't know. Be yourself, and if you mess up, say it, because we're not brain scientists right now, or we might be some brain scientists, we might be brain surgeons. Marketing is important, and obviously brand presence is important, and getting stuff with the IRS correct is important. Okay.
Talk about
So
it.
just say something. Say something.
Say something. Well, this brings
If
up a
you,
good
yeah.
point about understanding your people in your business. It's humbling to hear that there's such a safe space that you could acknowledge, hey, I need help. Like reading that Slack message, I need your help. Something inside my soul was like, oh my God, what is going on? How can I be of service? It was never a moment. I'm glad you felt it was never a moment of judge. But think about this, y'all. You be in this game 10, 15 plus years, and you know that you have to be twice as good as most people to get anywhere and ahead. And any minute mistake is blown out of proportion. Any acknowledgement of weakness is taken way more than it should have. As we know, in many of these organizations and corporations, there is a high level of masculinity with not enough support and equality. And so, seeing that, see as a man, and if I can be real, I would never think that in that moment just that. But you have to understand where your other people are coming from and their vantage points. And if you don't create an equal from the jump so they can feel safe to do so, that's a problem.
Sometimes too, people need to work through it themselves, but also just back to the freaking IRS form. You ask for help. And I asked for help in this scenario with at Inbound. He saw it, and I'm very thankful for his surrounding awareness, his own self-awareness in that, and in business is truly going to make an impact not only at S3M but everybody we touch. So I thank you.
And I didn't learn that unless I was around people who showed me other vantage points. And that's the other
Mhm.
thing. To be really good in DIB work, you have to be a phenomenal listener. an active listener to a point where when they're telling you things, you literally see it through their lens of understanding. And yeah, it could be hard. I don't want to talk about my girl like that. Like, yo, that's my business partner, that's my friend. Like, don't be doing that.
Yeah, take off my hoops.
But it's recognizing and again, the story can be flipped. I'm not trying to say I'm the hero of the story. She's been the hero of my story. I was already the host and went through
So
a
much. That's a
plethora.
whole other episode.
Yeah, we're gonna make that a whole tune in and listen. But I already went through a lot there, and then having to go through it again with imposter syndrome of again, you're not worthy to be on this stage. Who do you think you are? Why are you here?
Give me their names.
I should probably pull a Jimmy Kimmel or a Jimmy Fallon, read my tweets, read my DMs during those period one of these days. I'm like, ooh. Um, but even still, having what I will say, my experience hosting by myself and my experience hosting with you were like night and day different. It was the load was spread and you had someone to lean on and someone who you can talk to at the end of every day, decompress. And I will say this, I people think the more you do something, sometimes the easier it gets. Sometimes it can be the exact opposite. Because you're thinking, oh, they're gonna hope into this new standard. If I don't achieve this standard every single time, I'm a failure. And if I mess up at all, I'm a failure. And I will never forget. Um, it was the last day. By then, I was gassed.
Oh my
We
God.
will talk more on this, but there were some things happening.
Y'all, we
I
had
was
7 desserts that night. 7. Okay.
I was emotionally drained that day, and um, caveat: men do cry, so I'm just putting it out there. And it was like we had this built up the whole time. I don't know if it was before I got to the cookie or the ice cream.
Oh, the creme
But I
brulee.
just started getting massively emotional. And I got emotional because I felt two things. The thing we talked about earlier, did I not do enough for you during that week? Because I'm thinking if it was my sister or my partner or my mother or whatever, you won't want no one to whatever feel some type of way. And then two, my own personal battles of just existing and not wondering if I was enough that whole time with my delivery and not being HubSpot Elite OG, constantly being reminded of every moment I took the stage.
And those messages in the back of your head.
I'm just gonna leave it there. And I again, I'm a pretty reserved person, but to be able to just release my emotions and express myself in ways that most men probably are told in business just to lock away. Emotions are not weakness. And
And even females,
yeah.
they're not supposed to speak because they don't want to be just like shown as emotional, is emotions
Oh,
in general. But it's like that stigma of when females are emotional, quote unquote,
yeah.
and they shouldn't be in the business world, and then men can't be. But then it's like, but humans have that regard. It's in
Right.
showcasing that, and it's to not to not downplay, like you said, emotions and how it's important. And you have shown up as yourself with that. And I've seen that even after, I mean, maybe it was 7 desserts and it was like a sugar high of that, but it was a beautiful moment. I feel for all of us. I mean, and Tamra was a big part of that too, because I think Tamra was
Yes.
the one that sparked that because her words, she just is a beautiful, prolific speaker and it's in human in general. And it just showcases so much of, I mean, I talk to you all the time and I tell you how amazing you are. And not downplaying what I say, but hearing it from someone who you really just met and it it says a lot to who you are and what you've been through and even not knowing what was to come the next week after a big announcement that week, it was emotional shit. Like, yes.
Would have never known the next week would have I would have never known that. And it happened so fast. But to bring this one to a close, because I feel like we're leaving off a lot of clickbaits and cliffhangers for future things to explore. When you reflect and where we're at now, what is your one hope and what is the thing you're most excited about navigating through that you know is probably a challenge, but something you're excited to navigate through?
Is so little tiny backstory on this is Troy and I have pitched some ideas to people, and they don't fully see the concept. So the challenge is because Troy and I are definitely visionaries and we see 6 months ahead and everything, how it can connect from like every aspect of your business and how we can attach so many different things for revenue, uh simply just um goodness, I guess you could say, in your business, which really then trickles down to revenue, and community and things like that. I think the thing I'm excited about that's going to be the challenge is getting those thoughts and those um, truly life changing and truly business changing ideas, strategies, actions to play, and having businesses feel that impact of that channeling your athletic spirit to really transform your experiences that propel your brand into the limelight.
Isn't she amazing? Didn't she just close that out so well? My end, I think my hope is, well, pause before I say that. One thing I want to share and what's great about this moment in this podcast we're doing, unlike most people who talk about how they already got it, we're sharing our thoughts and being vulnerable and sharing the backstory and different things to show how we're going to do it while we're in it, which is very rare for many people to experience it in real time, how things are progressing. My hope is that the multitude of things that we have in our minds collectively that I know are in notes and sticky notes and all these different things that it just slowly becomes real. And I know what we're building is bigger than us, not only the literal business itself, but the impact. And I feel we're so passionate. This is
I'm
going
gonna
to
start
work.
crying.
No doubt it's going to work. The other thing I will say, and I think the challenge, and if I can be frank, most times people don't see DEIB as sexy. They don't see it as, ooh, forefront. They
They
see it
see it
as
as
an
HR.
afterthought.
Yeah.
Yes. They see it as, ooh, that's something I like to have, but it doesn't mean anything for money. It absolutely sure as heck does. And again, we've echoed this to quite a few different people, very trusted, well-known brands and leaders who've kind of said, you all doing something a little different in a way I haven't seen or put together before. And I don't know about you, but I like being different. I don't like to be in the same. Let me be the square peg in the circle hole. I'm cool with that. I don't need to be a carbon copy of every entrepreneur. And again, those strategies we talked about earlier, they don't work for everybody. They're not considering people's vantage point of where they're from. So my hope is not only for this to work and everything, but I think and this, I'm not gonna cry, but for once in my life, I want to do something with someone that we own it, we have control of it, and we have fun doing it while
We
also
can say
making
no.
money.
Yes.
For the power of saying no, when you have the ability to say no, she could tell me no to a deal. Don't even have to tell me why in that moment. I ain't gonna, I ain't gonna flinch. I'm like, well, it wasn't meant for us. I ain't
Mhm.
going to, she can tell me later if she want to, and that's powerful, y'all. That is powerful to say no. Oh, you don't identify with our standards. Oh, we're going to turn down a $1.4 million deal because you don't align with our standards of how we want to impact and how we want to operate business. You're not going to stronghold us because we're a minority owned and operated women-led organization and think, oh, they'll take anything.
Because
Oh,
exactly.
no, we have standards, sweetheart. Mm-mm.
And you ain't up to it.
And on that note, is out. And that wraps up another episode of Unfiltered Growth. Make sure you subscribe, rate,
With 5 stars.
and leave us a review.
Remember, growth doesn't happen in isolation. Join our community of bold thinkers and doers on social media and stay connected.
Don't forget to go to season3media.com/podcast for strategy or event inquiries, resources, or to just chill with us.
Until next time, keep pushing boundaries, embracing diversity, and never stop growing. This is Christina and Troy signing off. And remember,
No filters.
just growth.